Self-image, how you look at yourself. Do you see yourself good? Do you see yourself positive? Do you see yourself worthy? Do you see yourself not worthy? The self-image. When we talk about the inner refuge, we talk about the greatest gift, we talk about this walking jewel, walking treasure that within us. If you look at it that way, you value more yourself. When we say Sambhogakaya, a body of perfection. A body of perfection means the body which is perfected with all the qualities of enlightened qualities. The body which perfected with the joy, love, compassion, all the qualities are perfect. If you look at a sense of a walking treasure, walking jewel, then you have a self-value. If you look at yourself like nobody, nothing, then how you're going to interact with the rest of the world? Everything what you will do, everything what you will do, you will base on what you think who you are. You're not going to do more than what you think you are. Or everything what you say to somebody, you're going to say only the way you value yourself. Even you negotiate with somebody, you will say, I'll do that, I want this. Why I want this? That's how I'm worth. You cannot negotiate more when you have not self-value. So the self-value has so much to do, the way the success, in a way, the success of the life in generally, many different levels of success in the world, life, I think in generally has so much to do with the self-value. Or in a sense of like the identity that we have, like when we say I, we say Nganzi. Nganzi means self-grasping. In the deep inside, when I say I, how much that I is open. What does that mean? If I is open, I is willing to shift its position. I is willing to be different. I is willing to be less. I is willing to be more. If the circumstances requires to shift itself, to accomplish a certain benefit tasks for self-transformation or welfare of others. Because it's willing to shift. Because sometimes world get frozen because nobody wanted to shift from their position. Nobody is willing to become higher or lower or smaller or bigger. And they all wanted to be the same, which they think is the biggest one. Or the most important one. They're not willing to shift from their sense of self. If they are willing to shift, by becoming a lower, they can become a higher. By becoming a smaller, they can become bigger. By becoming a less, they become more. Because more, less, higher, bigger, it has nothing to do with the frozen thing. It has something to do with the flow of energy and possibilities and infinite possibility. It doesn't have to do with the frozen ideas. And many times people are frozen in their sense of identity and positions in the job and something like that. They might do much better than where they are. They can earn much more than they can earn. But if they are not frozen in what they do. Because they are not willing to shift their sense of self. It has to do with a sense of openness, for example. People make deals. Every deal came out of openness. People fall in love. Every time somebody fall in love came out of their openness. Every friendship that people make came out from that openness. A single joy, just a joy, a simple joy, a joy of a cup of water, a glass of water, comes out of that openness. A pain of possessing so much money and wealth came out of that lack of openness. It doesn't mean you can be so joyful when you have a lot. The only people who don't have, they think when somebody should have something, they should be happy. That's the rules that the one made by people who don't have. But people who do have, they're not happy. They don't follow those rules. They say, I have it, but I'm unhappy. And you think if I have it, I should be happy. That doesn't work like that. And I'm sure when you will have me, like me, you might be more unhappy than I am, likely. Not guarantee, but likely. So that nobody follows those rules. So sense of flexibility, it's to do with everything. So I think it's also kind of nice to see the appreciation of these sacred inner refuge that we talk about, but in a very simple places. Like when you see two people are genuinely open toward each other. You walk in the street, in the mall, you see there's two people, there's two individuals, you can see the openness that we are talking about, you see it's there, present in these two people. You can go and prostrate that two people. You can say, I prostrate to the Samantabhadra in you too this very moment. It's okay to say that. Maybe they might think you're strange by doing that. But you can definitely go there and acknowledge that, saying, oh, I love the way you two are together. You can admire that. Because you are open to perceive that, you're open to willing to see something happening between two people. Or you walk in the shop, a person who is serving a coffee or something like that, you see so much joy flowing, doing what this person is doing. Just serving coffees, no big deal. But so much joy, so much openness. So much openness with everybody there, so much joy in serving coffee. You see that joy in that person who is just serving coffee. That Samantabhadra, it's manifesting, it's alive. That very moment, it's not guaranteed how long it's going to be alive, but that very moment you see it alive in that person. A mother who's looking at a child, a gaze with unconditional love, no agenda, no frustration. She just gazes through that space and care and love. A few seconds, a few minutes. Their qualities are so pure and so much warmth, so much joy there, because she's so open. Because she's so open. If she was not open, she won't be feeling that. So the openness is the source. So some sense of, we can talk about the emphasis of qualities and emphasis of the source of the quality. For example, compassion is very important, but the openness is more important. Love is very important, the openness is more important, because if you're not open, you're not going to experience the love. In order to have love, you have to be open to have love. When you have the experience of love, when you have experience of compassion, it does help to openness, for sure. But the way it's initiated, You cannot feel a genuine sense of compassion to somebody if you're not open. You cannot feel a genuine sense of love to somebody if you're not open. So the openness is the source. What happens in our everyday life, sometimes people trying to love. Many, many people suffer trying to love. Many, many people feel pain trying to love. Because they wanted to love to their father, their mother, their sisters, their brothers. But they cannot overcome their pain. They feel blocked. They're trapped in their old stories. The stories becomes more important than their openness and their love towards somebody. They're trapped. Intellectually, they know it's important. Emotionally, they're incapable, they're paralyzed. So what do you do? What do you do is you go inside rather than trying to force, rather than trying to put more effort. You go inside, feel that stillness, feel that silence, feel that spaciousness, rest in the inner refuge for a short moments. 5 minutes a day, 10 minutes a day, your own level of increasing those numbers, those times, and they will change. That's the only way to do it. Trying harder, suffering more by trying harder, it doesn't work. If you look at the many relationships that you have, how many years it's been now? If it haven't cleared so far, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, if it has not been cleared, like particularly in the situations in the family, you know until you die, you're not going to clear it if you do the same way. Do you want to die hating your father? Do you want to die hating your mother? Do you want to die with a lot of conflict with your families? No.